समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया?
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Pakistan is in turmoil yet again. This time, for the first time in the country's history, a former spy chief of the country has been sentenced to jail after a court-martial. Faiz Hameed, considered close to Imran Khan, says he will appeal the verdict. He was the ISI chief for 2 years during Imran Khan's tenure as Prime Minister of Pakistan. Now, both Mr. Khan and General Hameed are in jail. I'm Barkha. You're with the Mojo story. On the program today, we look at whether the sentencing of Faiz Hameed, Pakistan's former spy chief, to 14 years in prison is part of Asim Munir's constitutional coup. Asim Munir has, of course, in a sense, triggered a constitutional coup in the country, not just being elevated to the position of field marshal alongside Pakistan Army chief, but also consolidating his hold over the judiciary. Now, the latest twist comes with the sentencing and the court-martialing of Faiz Hameed, the Lieutenant General who headed the ISI, Pakistan spy agency, notorious spy agency, I should say, when Imran Khan was Prime Minister from 2019 to 2021. He quit his post soon after the no-confidence vote against Imran Khan. Many of us remember that as Kabul fell to the Taliban, there were the famous pictures of Faiz Hameed in Kabul sipping a cup of tea. Now Faiz Hameed is going to be behind bars, much like his political mentor, Imran Khan. There's that famous picture of Faiz Hameed in Kabul hours after the city fell to the Taliban. But how things change, and in Pakistan, the more things change, the less they actually change. In other words, the army continues to call the shots, but this time they've taken down one of their own. These developments in Pakistan come even as Washington has approved a $686 million deal to upgrade the technology of F-16s. This deal is not something that will please India, but it continues to be a sign of Trump being either flattered or blinded by Munir and the Pakistan establishment for reasons that are not fully comprehensible. It also comes even as Prime Minister Modi has shared that he had another phone conversation with American President Donald Trump. So a lot to talk about. Let me introduce on the program one of the country's foremost strategic affairs minds. General Raj Shukla is with us. He is the author of a book I would like to highly recommend on civil-military fusion. You can find that podcast on our platform. But here today, General Shukla, let's try and understand what the hell is going on with Pakistan. Never a dull moment in that country, that's for sure. The Pakistan military has always been all-powerful. But this time they have taken down one of their own. They have taken down a former ISI chief for the first time in Pakistan's history, a general considered close to Imran Khan. How do you see the significance of this?
So, Barkha, I think it's hugely significant. And I think, we must analyze what's happening in terms of, shall we say, three factors. One is, I think this sentencing of Faiz Hameed. I mean, an ISI chief, 14 years, rigorous imprisonment. What a fall from holding that cup of tea in Kabul to undergoing rigorous imprisonment. So it's really significant. But it is, I think, also the larger shadow boxing between Nawaz Sharif and Imran Khan. So there is.
You see Nawaz Sharif and Imran Khan. I would have said Asim Munir and Imran Khan.
Yeah, but I'll tell you why Nawaz Sharif and Imran Khan. Because Nawaz Sharif, I think in 2022, publicly called out Faiz Hameed and blamed him for the Panama case, for pushing him out of power. And why it is that is the larger fight, because if Imran comes out of jail, that is the end of Nawaz Sharif. So it is very important to keep Imran in jail, and Faiz Hameed is one of the foremost tools. There is talk on Pakistan social media that Faiz Hameed may turn approver against Imran Khan, though these are early days. But that's the way thing happens. In that top city case, that thing of where there was some coercion of a real estate mogul, where Faiz Hameed was accused of masterminding it. The two brigadiers who were involved in it, in coercing that real estate mogul, Brigadier Naeem Fakar and Brigadier Ghaffar, turned approver against Faiz Hameed.
You're saying Faiz Hameed, who left office or was ousted out of office when Imran Khan fell out with the military, could today turn approver against Imran Khan to basically survive?
And I'll tell you why. See, what have they done? They have given him 14 years RI for breaching the Official Secrets Act, misuse of government resources, bribery. But these are minor crimes in the life of a DG ISI. The major crimes were those deeper political confabulations where he got General Bajwa an extension, in the process setting himself up for the position of Chief of Army Staff, being part of Imran's kitchen cabinet, being close to Bushra Bibi. Asim Munir was precisely the opposite. He was daggers drawn with Bushra Bibi. See where the competition starts. So in this fight to the finish, what has been left, it was out in the press release, which said that for the wider conspiracy is yet to be tried. Now, in the wider conspiracy of getting in bed with Imran politically when he's to be tried, what will the carrot be offered? Turn approver. That's happened in tops. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could happen. And therefore is this larger battle between Imran and Nawaz. Why do I say Nawaz?
Yeah.
Just 1 minute, just 30 seconds more. So Nawaz, in the third or the fourth time when he returned to power, he made an emotional call. He said, vote ko izzat do. Then when he realized that, he was dethroned by Shehbaz and company, he's got in bed with Asim Munir, the military, and now it is vote ko izzat do. So the fact of the matter is, and there you are absolutely right, the constant winner in 75 years of Pakistani politics is the incumbent army chief. Look at Mirza Aslam Beg versus Ziaul Haq. On that fateful flight which led to his end, I'm told Zia asked Mirza Aslam Beg to board the flight. They were supposed to board it and discuss the exercise which had just been held. And Aslam Beg did not. Zia perishes in that act. So I'm saying in all these battles, it is the incumbent army chief who always wins. When Asim Munir came to power, it was said that Faiz is far more popular. He's mercurial. He's charismatic. He was likely to win the power struggle. But once you get into office, all these brigadiers turned approvers. And then Asim was also lucky to have friends like Donald Trump. So it is this larger geopolitics, the 27th constitutional amendment, we could talk about it, and the larger geopolitics, Donald Trump, which have helped Asim Munir along.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Trump, because Trump has also approved a deal in the last day that upgrades technology on the F-16s for Pakistan, a $686 million deal. And, as you said, he seems to be either blindsided by Pakistan's flattery on the so-called Nobel dream that he has, or it's the cryptocurrency business links that his family has with Pakistan, or is God knows what. We don't really know what hold Asim Munir has over Trump. But before I come to that, there's one difference between what's happened this time and what has happened in the past in Pakistan. Pakistan's military has been very good at sort of controlling power from behind the scenes while presenting a facade of an elected government. This time, the army chief, field marshal, has taken down one of their own. After all, Faiz Hameed is going to jail via the route of a court martial. It is a military decision. How would the rest of the Pakistan military feel about this? Will they continue to close ranks behind Asim Munir, who seems to be there now for life?
I have no doubt. The Pak military will close ranks behind Asim Munir because he's the army chief. And see why I tell you the 27th constitutional amendment is important. Why it preceded the outcome of the court martial. I think there is a sequencing here. So 27th constitutional amendment, you signal that the chief of army staff will also be the chief of defense forces. The field marshal will be a field marshal for life. He will be given immunity, which means the last time after General Musharraf conducted that coup, by hauling him over the legal coals, this threatened future army chiefs that if you interfere in the process, you can be tried by law. This time, Asim Munir is that all-powerful man. He's not only chief of defense forces, he is also got immunity, so he cannot be tried for any misdemeanors. So the signaling to the broader Pakistani establishment is that Asim Munir is now so strong by virtue of being chief of army staff, by virtue of being field marshal, that Faiz Hameed is no match to him. Now, if you have to take a call between Faiz Hameed and Asim Munir in a very transactional Pakistan, what will you do? You will have more of these Brigadier Naim Fakhars and Brigadier Ghaffars turning approvers. And there is every possibility that the signaling to Faiz Hameed could be that you are one of our own. You will have to pay for what you did, but we could dangle carrots. So the larger objective is Imran Khan, because Imran's popularity remains intact. You speak to anybody, all these machinations have not killed his popularity. But in that famous phrase, the Maqbooliyat is not turning into legitimacy, because legitimacy comes only through the office of the Pakistani.
So the attack, so the sentencing of Faiz Hameed is actually consolidating the crackdown on Imran Khan. Hameed is seen to be Imran's man. When Imran Khan was ousted from office, there was this sense that the Pakistan army was divided from within, that there were two factions within the military. We saw unprecedented scenes of protesters actually taking on corps commanders and so on that we've never actually seen in Pakistan. Do you believe that that debate has been settled forever as Asim Munir, frankly, consolidates his hold over the country? The courts, the military, the politics, what's left? Now the ISI.
Yeah, so all kinds of possibilities. Look at how I just saw half an hour back a video which has gone viral in Pakistan. That is a recording of Faiz Hameed speaking to the boss of PEMRA, which is their media authority, electronic media authority. And look at the crass language that he uses. He speaks like a street thug. Salam alaikum, tum aajkal lift nahi de rahe ho mere ko. So he says, kya baat hai? He says, आपने वो दो licenses नहीं दिए. So the PEMRA boss asked him, जनाब बताइए तो मसला क्या है? He says, मेरे को पता नहीं, ये दो ब्रिगेडियर आएंगे जो वो कहते हैं कर दो. Now, why are they being leaked? They are being leaked to, deepen the, what shall I say, the guilt, the political attempts at political engineering in the whole narrative. पहले क्यों नहीं बताई ये सब चीजें? पहले they were all legitimate in the eyes of the Pakistani public. So now, this positioning of Faiz Hameed as a villain will grow in narrative. And the other point is, and that may be, that I understand as a soldier, what they did on what they call No Mai, taking out the uniform of, I think, the corps commander Lahore and parading it in the streets, that was a direct challenge to the authority of the Pakistan Army. I mean, doing it to a corps commander. And I think they have found Faiz Hameed complicit in the whole matter. And now more and more stuff will come up. I suspect it is going to go to Imran's nephew. It is going to, the news will possibly, there is some talk of General Bajwa, sections of the judiciary, Shehbaz Gill, Adil Raja, all these guys will come into this network. The perpetrators or the associates of 9th May will be brought to justice. So I think that is the other thing.
To be clear, for people who don't follow Pakistan as closely as you do, and I try to, 9th May is when Imran Khan's supporters go on the rampage and they basically enter the corps commanders, one of the corps commanders' homes, and they ransack a corps commander's home, a never before seen, unfolding in Pakistan. And you are saying that the court martial is going to pin, or the army is going to find a way to pin that on Faiz Hameed and say, basically, you compromise the military, and this could even go up the chain to former Pakistan Army Chief General Bajwa.
Obviously. So all over the media, there are these allegations that Faiz Hameed was not only involved in the attacks of 9th May, but he continued to be associated with PTI thereafter. And you see, even if you see after Imran was put into prison, he's been rotting in a cell, I think, for over 2 years now. Many attempts were made to reach out to him, to settle it. I'm told some offers were made for him to go into exile. But when that did not work, look at that conference of the DG ISPR. I think that's also very significant. When he publicly said that Imran is mentally unstable, he is a narcissist, and he's spreading poison against the army. So now look at the steps. The constitutional amendment which strengthens Asim Munir beyond measure. DG ISPR calling Imran out publicly, signaling that there is no truce with Imran. I mean, it has to be.
By the way, the image on the screen, if we can go back to it for a second, is the Corps Commander's house in Lahore, in the heart of Punjab, that was attacked by Imran Khan supporters. What we're talking about, that's what happened on the 9th of May. Go ahead.
Then Imran continued to make some personal tirades against Asim Munir. That, I mean, the Pakistan Army Chief has been called out on occasion, but personal tirades have never been made. So if Imran was taking the fight to the finish, this is Asim Munir's response in cahoots with Nawaz Sharif. I mean, Nawaz is in it. So that's why I'm saying there is shadow boxing, there is deeper power play of Pakistani politics. And where it has got linked to geopolitics, I suspect, is this. Imran, in his ascent to power, called Osama bin Laden a Shaheed. He also said that I'll not be a hired gun for the Americans. And if you recall, I think it was just before Russia attacked Ukraine, he happened to be in Moscow. So this signaling to Russia is something that the Americans may not have liked. And when they saw in the office of the army chief, who's important anyway, who was willing to do this crypto and rare earth stuff, so I think everything went in Asim Munir's favor. The Americans, Trump, who was also, I think, wanting to kind of put India in place because India was asserting its autonomy. So the geopolitics, the local power politics, the fight between Imran and Nawaz have all brightened the stars of Asim. And he has, I mean, one must concede rather craftily, strengthened his position. But what amazed me most was the 27th constitutional amendment. But let me tell you why that is very dangerous. And I would just, that is where India comes in.
Yeah.
See, what this 27th constitutional amendment has done, it has said that the chief of defense force staff will always be from the army. Imagine if it happens in India. So there is no inter-service fire break. Navy, Air Force, they balance the army in some ways in the power equation. ऐसी कोई सुविधा ही नहीं. And the boss of the National Strategic Command, who will be the go-to man in terms of the nuclear complex, will always be from the army. In our case, the CNC SFC is by rotation. So what? And the terror boss, Hafiz Saeed, is in any case part of the army, DG ISI.
Yeah.
And I've been following this Jaish very closely. It is as dangerous as Hamas. And now Hamas, this Jaish has got links in Bangladesh. Munir is making these calls of a terror attack from the east. Turkey is coming in. So this, what is dangerous for India is this nuclear terror complex is back in business. And far from being a hybrid regime, I mean, the political bosses in Pakistan are mere toadies. So it is going to be a unitary complex under Asim Munir, only the army, and therefore it makes it even more dangerous. And then Islamist bit. You have now Shariat to your west and Shariat to your east, with all that is happening in Bangladesh. So which means I'm not saying there's something to get alarmed about, but there is something we must take note.
Absolutely. And yeah, that
the strategic military balance is one that challenges India both to the west and the east. And Asim Munir is the central factor. And look at the irony. They are consolidating in undesirable ways. But each day you do not make your theatre commands. You do not integrate. I mean, you are going the wrong way. You are also going the wrong way.
let's come to that. Let's come to the implications for India to have probably the most powerful army chief. I don't know. Would you say Munir is more powerful than Musharraf was at his peak? Would you compare him to Zia? Who would you compare him to?
I mean, when he started off, I thought of him very poorly. Musharraf was far more intelligent. Asim Munir is not. He is just, what is that, Hafiz of the Quran and all that. But not in the strategic military sense. I have not heard any great articulations or thoughts. But in terms of consolidation of power, he has been far more nimble and agile than Musharraf. Musharraf got into trouble with the lawyers. Here he has sidelined the judiciary. The 27th Amendment, where they have created the Federal Constitutional Court, means even the judiciary will have no say now. And the way they have divided the judiciary in ways of appointing judges and so on and so forth. So the the power consolidation is complete. I don't know, you ask Sushant and all, because they are deeper followers, but I think he will certainly rank amongst one of the most powerful chiefs. And just one more point, since we have the Pak Air Chief on the screen, I think what happened, I've read this on all Pakistan social media, after some of the success that the Pakis had on the first night, the Air Chief got very powerful, Pakistan Air Chief. He was the toast of Washington along with Asim Munir. He had long meetings with Wang Yi. So in the power balance, the army thought that the Air Force was, Pakistan Army thought that the Pakistan Air Force was getting undue attention.
Yeah.
So look at them. 27th Amendment, they are nowhere in the scene. Kuch bol diya ki we will make you Marshal of the Air Force and all at some point in the future. But those are mere carrots. In the actual, or let me put it this way, in the actual, shall we say, power struggle, they have kept the politicians out, kept them out as toadies, sidelined the judiciary, and also, put to the periphery any inter-service fire breaks. So the army is in complete control.
And hence, my analogy would be not with Musharraf, but with Zia.
Ayub, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
Ayub
I want to come to what that means in terms of how India should be preparing our defenses, our offenses if needed. As you said, the threat is now both from the east and the west. But before that, we do need to talk about, you spoke about the so-called friendship that Munir enjoys with Trump, or some sort of, he's flattered his way into the Trump's corner. The F-16 deal that has been approved by Washington in the last 20 odd hours, you're looking at a $686 million transfer of technology deal that will upgrade these F-16s. How do you look at this? This has happened on the same day or in the same window in which Prime Minister shared on X that he'd spoken with President Trump. We literally have no understanding of what Trump is playing at. I don't think anybody in the world does. But how do you look at this F-16 deal?
So I'm not an Air Force guy, Barkha, but what I picked up
strategically. I'm talking about the geopolitics.
So I'm told it is a deal of 2022 which had got interrupted, the $686 million that you're talking of.
Yeah.
And the deal is to upgrade some of the F-16s. I'm told their total fleet is about 80 aircraft, F-16s. Now, F-16s are not really fourth, fifth generation. They are a generation behind, but nevertheless platforms, 80 of them. And here the upgrades are in terms of IFF, which is Identification Friend or Foe, electronics, navigations, some links. That is important, these tactical links which enable communications across the services. So what it will do, I'm told, is that the F-16 fleet life will be extended to 2040. So you have these J-17s, J-20s and F-16s. Now the J-17s and J-10s performed miserably on 10th May. So there's a big question mark on them. They were retreating backwards. However, the issue is that what I've been following is the Air Chief in Washington, Air Chief in Beijing. They are trying to get that stealth deal through, J-20s, HQ-90s. Now, my understanding of Sindoor was that unless you have stealth aircraft, you cannot close in the contested armament. So India needs F-35, Su-57s. That call will have to be taken. And Pakistan is really, shall we say, looking at these J20s. If J20 is true stealth, and if the Pakis get it, the air balance might once again shift in favor of Pakistan. So see, the point that I would want to make in the Indo-Pak context is that why should we, given our economic weight, let the balance, the military balance, be so precarious? Why not invest in combat overmatch? Such overmatch that Pakistan doesn't even think of doing any of that stuff. Just like Mexico doesn't think of doing anything to the United States. Now, for that, we'll have to, get out of our incremental mindset. Despite all these threats, our defense spending is still 1.98% of the GDP. This is what is something which bothers me a great deal. We must step up our game in terms of investments. I was in Berlin last week. I was amazed, Barkha. Germany is talking of 80 billion euros. The whole talk there is of switching to a very strong national security posture. See what's happening in Japan. India is talking about it, but the investments are not flowing. And while we did well on the 10th of May, the balance is precarious. We must invest far more and not keep it, touch and go. It should be combat overmatch.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a last question there, General Shukla. The new threats as Pakistan's Asim Munir cozies up to Bangladesh. As you mentioned, and I was interviewing Sheikh Hasina's son, and he made the argument that the Delhi car blast, he said there was enough evidence to link it back to elements in Bangladesh, so that the Lashkar and the Jaish now were operating, according to him, with impunity from Bangladesh. You have made a similar assessment about the Jaish-e-Mohammed, at least. Munir already said in that very provocative, I think the ISI chief, present ISI chief has spoken about, the threat to India from the east. So how should we be looking at our strategic doctrine in the light of two things? One, an extremely powerful Pakistan Army chief who has consolidated his hold over all institutions, including the judiciary, unlike Musharraf, as you pointed out. And two, a hostile Bangladesh, at least for the moment, unless elections change something, that is willing to rebuild its relationship with Pakistan.
So I suspect what happened, and this is the chronology that, the chronology in my understanding. On the 10th of May, when they get a whacking, they are seriously worried. And so they look for other options. That should explain the agreement with Saudi Arabia. Not very substantive in military terms, but definitely money flowing in for them to, upgrade. Their deep outreach to Turkey. And I've been saying this for a while. Please follow it. The Turkish defense minister, Minister for Defense Industries in Islamabad and Dhaka. The number of times DG ISI visits Dhaka, the Jamaat there. Do follow the writings of Rami Desai. She's been talking of chaos in Myanmar, chaos in Bangladesh, drugs, all this coming together. Munir publicly saying that the next terror attack could come from the east. So when Sheikh Hasina's son talks about it, he may not be wrong. So I think there is this the grand scheme is to, envelope India from the west and the east, this Islamist project with drugs thrown in. And it is a real danger. Why is Turkey all the way from wherever they are in the Middle East coming here? And Turkey is not to be undermined. It's a pretty strong NATO military power. So with all this coming together, what has changed is that we used to look to the east, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Myanmar, as instabilities, drugs, immigration. We now need to look at it as in terms of a new national security reality, which means we must fence the borders. It may sound pretty horrendous if I say this, but just like we have an RR along the western borders, we need some force here. We are so sensitive to our western borders. Our eastern borders are equally porous in terms of all this drugs, illegal immigration, terror. So the next terror attack could come from the east. And therefore, I do know that some steps are being taken by the MOD, by Eastern Command to strengthen our posture in the Sirigud corridor, for instance. But we need to do far more in a far faster time frame. This whole business of that naval base that US was looking for, Chinese access, looking for access into the Bay of Bengal through Bangladesh. I mean, there is even a maritime threat. So we have to be far more agile, fleet-footed, and faster in our, whatever reactions we have along the eastern horizons. I do sense trouble building up there.
Well, I think that's a cautionary note that must be paid attention to, General Shukla. You are often prophetic in your assessments, as with the civil-military relationship that you have devoted a book to. It is important to understand that the arrest of Faiz Hameed, though India will shed no tears for him, is part of a larger constitutional coup, is part of the consolidation of Asim Munir's power over Pakistan's institution, and that does have implications for India. Did you have a last word in, General Shukla?
So, Irfan, since you raised this point about civil-military fusion, see, this theatre command debate is an old debate of the 90s. We have to go towards cross-pollination and complete fusion. So let's stop wasting time on this. This is the year of a remarkable gentleman, Barkha, birth centenary S.K. Sinha, General S.K. Sinha, who was the architect of, reforms in higher defense organizations. He sacrificed his career for this cause. So let's make theatre commands in 25 in his centenary year and not kick the can down the road to 2026. That would be my nth appeal towards theatre commands.
Well, that needs a whole different show by itself, and we'll organize one very soon. I think a lot of people don't even understand what is a theatre command, and we need to explain it to the larger public, because this is really about, in the end, the security of India. And that's what we have to understand in the year of Operation Sindoor, in the year of the Telecar blast, in the year of Pahalgam terror attack. Those are the things to remember as 2025 draws to a close. General Shukla, always a pleasure, sir. Lots to learn from you. Always take care. See you soon, sir.
Thank you, Barkha. Thanks a lot. All the best to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.